Hello and welcome back to Tech Made Simple. Super excited today. I'm coming at you again with another RFID industry interview. I have the opportunity to sit down with Matt Smith with Smart Label Solutions, or as you may know them, SLS. Very excited today. Matt's has a lot of experience in the industry on it from the integrator side, getting hands-on in the industry, getting portals, all the ins and outs of setting up readers for RFID solutions, and much, much more. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Matt Smith.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me, Matt, when did you start with SLS? How long have you been with them? And tell me a little bit about yourself and your experience in the industry.
Yeah, so I started with SLS in 2016 and just really it's been drinking from a fire hose ever since. We've been a part of about 15,000, 16,000 read point deployments since then. But yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey that feels very quick.
Absolutely, yeah.
Diving into the technology, learning as much as you can. We have a lot of opportunities with the 15,000 deployments to learn different use cases, right? Different places and how to deploy that technology and then use it into the future. So it's been a great opportunity.
Absolutely. And so for those who don't know, Smart Label Solutions, what is your go-to-market? What is it that you guys do? You're a solution provider, but what does that mean?
So we are a solution provider. We have software solutions and we produce and manufacture hardware. So we have the D series, which is the dock door portal solution, T series, which is our tunnels and our tables, and then our M series, which is our mobile auditing, cycle count solution.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm on the engineering side. What we provide from an engineering perspective for our customers and our partners out there deploying this technology is that solution design, right? How do you use this technology to do shipping verification at a dock door, receiving, and to make that work when you have very easy to read RFID product that you're RFID enabling, or very, very difficult, right? And how do you create a solution around that that's scalable and deployable, right? And that's our core focus here. Is if I go to a customer, I need to be able to tell them, hey, I created a solution for you on your one dock door, but I have to scale that now to your 1,700 dock doors in your ecosystem throughout the US and Mexico, Canada, right, wherever globally. How do you do that, right? And so that's our core focus from the engineering perspective. As a company as a whole, we have a software group that does a software package that, basically we call it feature-rich middleware, right? It's going to aggregate those read events. It's going to send them up to the cloud, right? And then it's going to integrate to your backend WMS, ERP systems, or maybe a partner software system.
And as you guys can see, we are sitting in front of an SLS portal solution, and we will have a demo. So Matt will demonstrate how an SLS portal solution works, which is very cool, and that'll come up here at the end of this industry interview. But to speak a little more, because obviously there's many different suppliers for these types of solutions, but what makes an SLS portal solution or solution in general different from the rest?
So the biggest thing is it's purpose built for the dock door. We use a multilinear wave antenna inside of the portal, which gives us a very diverse read environment to ensure that we can run very, very low power and read all those tags as they transition through the dock door. I don't know if they can see the metal dock plate, but there's, the metal dock plate at the dock door is kind of our focus, right? I don't want to read a tag until it hits that plate. There's not another system out there that can do that at the low controllable power to scale, right? Now I can run dock door after dock door without having any overreads or cross reads.
Sure. So for a lot of my listeners and a lot of my other videos, you've talked about just the tech behind how does a reader interrogate an RFID tag, and Matt mentioned the power and how one of the optimizations of an SLS system is being able to control that power, keep the power levels low. So can you explain a little bit of why that's important and why it should, end users should look towards, low power portals versus some alternatives?
Yeah, so a lot of the solutions we compete against out there are, running a higher power, reading the tag many times, kind of making a decision based on how it read the tag to determine did it go in this dock door, right? Whereas we more focus towards keep it simple, right? Did I read the tag? It's in this dock door, right? So we control that read environment so that we don't see anything outside of where we want to see it. But then that makes it so as tags transition, right, I can give that immediate response to the forklift driver. There's no delay. I don't have to make a decision, right? I read the tag, I send it up, they get a beep on their handheld. the buzzer goes off if they put it in the wrong door, right? It's an instantaneous reaction.
So when an end user comes to SLS, are they just getting the hardware? I know you mentioned some of the other pieces, but so in this particular dock door, I noticed there's a tablet on the outside of it. Is that something that you guys also provide with your solutions? And how does that connect the reads that they're seeing at the dock door to the rest of their WMS or whatever?
So the partner can provide it or we can provide it, but it's an Android tablet that's driving that. And the biggest thing that we do with that in our software application is we're not actually controlling the door with it, right? The door is doing what it's meant to do, right? It's going to read tags, it's going to run the power settings that we configure on there, and it's going to do that all day, every day. I am just going to subscribe to the events on that with the tablet and capture those, right? So I can take that tablet. If I have 100 dock doors, I don't need 100 tablets, right? I just need one for every fork truck, right? So if I have 10 fork trucks, they can go and load door 3 and then toggle over and load door 2, right? It doesn't have to, it kind of scales with that.
You mentioned the antennas that are internal with an SLS portal. Can you speak a little bit about, you said I can't remember the words you used to describe the antennas that you have inside. You know, most, fixed readers are more of a patch antenna, but is that similar for what your system is, or what kind of technology is in your portals?
Yeah, so it's a multilinear wave antenna. So if you think about, in the industry, you see circular polarized, linear, and then we're in our unique little area of a multilinear. So we have, each antenna has 3 different linear radiators off of it. When when you transmit, if you have a 4-port reader, you transmit to all 4 antennas. With 4 patch antennas, I'm only transmitting out of 4 points. With our solution, we're transmitting out of 12 points, right? Because there's 3 radiators on each antenna, right? And that really what drives diversity, right? If I have 12 points where I'm transmitting that power from, right, there's less chance that I get to an area where there's a null space and I don't see that tag.
Sure. So I'm a little biased because I've heard Matt explain this to me before, but for my viewers, I've mentioned linear polarization, circular polarization on my channel, but also how that affects the orientation of the read when you're going to read a typical dipole. So I mentioned the difference in how you can read the orientation of your typical dipole antenna and why the polarization of the antenna matters. Well, with the multilinear antennas that SLS is using, it sounds like they're omnidirectional. It doesn't matter what the orientation is. That's really the biggest spot, right? If you're using a circular polarized, so when we're competing against different solutions with circular polarized antennas, one of them, 50%, likely 50% of the tags that are going through there are going to go through their perpendicular or radial to the antenna. So yeah, the circular polarized antenna, when that tag is perpendicular to the antenna, it's very, very difficult to read. But when it's facing the antenna, it's very, very easy to read, right? And so the delineation between those two is very high. So I have to tune to my worst read to make sure I see it as it goes through the door, right? Yep. But my best orientation is very, very easy to read. Yep. So now I have to worry about cross reads and over reads, right? So a lot of times when we're competing against those two, you'll see where they might run to dive into a little bit, they might run like 18 dBm to see a tag as it's facing the antenna, but as soon as you turn it sideways, it's like, oh, I gotta go to 24. Well, the solution overall has to be at 24 now, right? Sure. Yep. And so when that tag goes through the adjacent door and it's facing that other antenna, I'm gonna read it, right? And so I'm gonna have cross reads, right? So with our solution, we don't see a huge difference between the different orientations. So if I'm running 18 dBm for, the perpendicular orientation, when that tag goes horizontal, I might be 17.5, right, or 17. That difference means I'm going to set the portal to 18 and a half dBm, but that controllability is now I'm reading all orientations. I don't have to go jack the power way up to try to overcome a different orientation. Sure. Something I've mentioned on my channel is, especially when it comes to thermal transfer printing and coding on site, it's always using the least amount of power that you need to, because otherwise you run the risk of reading tags that are in the area that you don't want to read. So it sounds like you guys kind of put the extra effort into kind of fine-tuning your portals so that you're only reading the tags that are in the area of concern, that interrogation zone. So
yeah, and that's to give us that immediate response. That's what we'll always go back to, right? If I tell that fork truck driver when he's 53 foot in the front of that trailer, it's way too late. Now he's got to come back out. He's got to reassess. Sure. I want to tell him as soon as he hits that dock plate, hey, this isn't supposed to be on the truck, or it is supposed to be on the truck, right? So that immediate response, and I can't do that if I add a layer, right, where I have to do some sort of an algorithm to determine did it go in or not, right? It might be 5-6 seconds. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you load trucks all day, that's a lot.
So what would you say, and then we'll get to the demo right after this, but the first, when it comes to the customer's experience, when they work with SLS, what would you say are one, two, or three of the main features of your portals that help from a customer experience standpoint? I have one in mind based on what you said to me, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so from a customer experience standpoint, really it is starting from the deployment, right? So if you have 50 dock doors in your facility, we're going to deploy that facility in 2 to 3 days, from the time we start putting the first bolt in the ground until we're ready for go live. So a low impact to the front end of the business. The other side of that is sustainability, right? Is this portal going to get damaged and get replaced? A lot of what we compete against is antennas mounted on conduit. If that antenna gets tweaked, you need an engineer to come back on site to retweak that antenna to get it where it needs to be. Whereas we anchor it in the ground with 4 bolts. There's a breakaway foot design to it, so if you were to hit it hard enough to actually destroy any of the expensive internals, it'll actually break away from the feet. You screw the feet back in the bottom, bolt it back in the floor, you're good to go. Just use a longer screw. You can go pick it up at Home Depot or Lowe's. We send the spec to all of our customers. The other side of that, though, is let's say you do destroy one, which out of the 20,000 that we have deployed, we replace about 5 to 10 a year.
Wow.
So not a huge issue from our standpoint. But if it does happen, we track all the serial numbers and all the things around each individual unit that's out there. If you destroy one, you call us, you tell us the serial number. We'll actually send you a replacement with the exact specs, IP in it, configuration, all set up. You bolt it in the same 4 holes, swap the cables around, and you're back up and running. You don't have to have somebody come on site. Now, you can if you want. We have those capabilities too, but it's from a customer perspective, that total cost of ownership is important, right? Sure. And then interactions to the driver, right? We push everything to a UI for the most part, right? We don't want our drivers focusing up at a stack light while they're driving through the dock door. That can cause some issues. But that stack light is also there from like a health monitoring standpoint, right? It's showing you, hey, if it's blinking green, it's reading tags, right? If it's red, the antennas are off. If it's blinking red, I don't have a connection, right? If it's blinking red and you have a buzzer, that means you put something here that's not supposed to be here, right?
Sure.
And you're going to get that alert both on the UI and on the buzzer, on the stack light. But that interaction and feedback to the driver, but also for like the shipping supervisor or whoever may be around, right? They can get that feedback.
Sure. Yeah, so kind of my takeaway from that is it's very easy for the operators on the manufacturing floor or the shipping dock to understand what the status is of the dock door. One, whether it's working, because that's always a question, like how do I know my RFID reader's reading? So it sounds like the green light means you're reading tags, and then it sounds like there's some other safety features that say, oh, you loaded the wrong product. So that's valuable, I think, in itself for just maintenance and day-to-day processes for your manufacturing floor.
The one other thing to that too is scale on the side of scalability, which is a very big focus of ours, is the software on the reader, right? We're gonna read this tag. You've talked about it in your videos. I've seen it, right? Where it's, I can read a tag, once a second or 20, 30 times a second, right? None of that data, the way we run our system, none of that data after the first tag read is valuable, right? Sure. It's unimportant, right? For most use cases. So we control that. We're only going to output one message from the reader, right? If it went on the truck, you're going to get that one message through. What that does is you have a low network traffic, right? So when you go to one of our customers, deployed 1,800 dock doors throughout their ecosystem, and they didn't have to upgrade servers and switches and all this stuff, right? They just had to. We just ran it. The overall network bandwidth was low. They didn't have to change it because they were already barcode scanning, so not really that much different, right? So.
Right. Well, very good. I think it's the point of the interview where we head on over into the live demonstration, because sometimes pictures speak 1,000 words. So we'll just go firsthand. Matt will showcase the power and technology that is in an SLS portal system.
Yeah, so here's the D-Series portal. So like we talked about in the video, we have the feet where the portal gets bolted down are breakaway, right? And then here we have the tablet mounted to the portal, but in most of our use cases, we put this up on the fork truck. There are situations where they hand load trucks, and then we will mount it to the portal. The stack light right here, it's indicating, right, that the door is shut. We use a retroreflective photo eye to determine when the door is shut. Shut the antennas off. This is a big metal reflector. I don't want to leave that on and read everything out in the zone, right? In the staging zone. The system as a whole is all ran on PoE, which is, when we talk scalability, very important. Just run a network drop here with PoE, and you don't have to send any AC power to the door. The tablet that we use is also PoE driven. That's, you can use any tablet. We just do that because we like to stay in that space. So the other big part of this is how we interface, right? How do we give that feedback to the driver, right? So that it's actionable and he can make a decision when he's loading that truck, hey, is this supposed to be here or not? And we do that with our SLS View mobile application. A big key component of our SLS View application is it's built around GS1 standards, right? So we require all of our customers to follow a GS1 standard. Very simple for us to decode your tag and understand what it is. We can do that at a case level, a pallet level, an item level. Colin's talked about this a lot in his videos, is that GS1 standard for RFID moving into the future is very important. As a company, we've made a shift since really 2018, 2019 into requiring that, or at least pushing very heavily for our customers to do that. This application, I can toggle through here, and there's 51 different things you can do on the application to date. There'll be 52 tomorrow, I'm sure. You don't have to see all those, right? We can fine tune that down to what we want that forklift driver to see. Most of them shipping and receiving, right? So I can ship it by item. So I can say, hey, this pallet, as it transitions through here, I want to know, let's say there's apparel items in there. I want to read every single apparel item as it transitions through a dock door, right? If I want to create that shipment by container, I can put an RFID tag on each box and I can just read that as it transitions. Or I can take and I can put a master pallet label on this pallet and just read that as it transitions, nothing else coming through, right? So really, we use that a lot for our solution design. If I have to read 800 tags as they transition through the portal, sure, let's do it, we can do it. We have the capabilities to do that, right? And I think really what that shows you is, our systems can kind of dial into the specific use case and customize to the specific use case to, do we want to read, 1,000 tags as they transition, or do I just want to read the pallet level, or anywhere in between, right? And that's a key component in creating a successful solution for our customers. So here you can select, so this is, I'm in SLS HQ, what shipping door I'm on door 3, so I have that all selected. If I was at door 2, I would just click here and change that. And then we scroll down, let's go to shipment, shipment by order. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to select a shipment, just to grab an old one. This is our demo instance. So this is going to pull an order from a demo order, right? And the reader's running. We've blocked the photo eye just for this demo. And you can see they're expecting, 4 different products and quantities, right? So I expect 8. I've only shipped 7. So you have not an alarm. You just have an alert, right? On product B, you have expected 8, and I've shipped 11. So we're alarming on that, right? That alarm's already happened. This is an older demo. Product C, I'm 8 for 8. It's good to go. That one's good. All right, so we're gonna grab a tag that's not expected on this load, a box that's not expected on this load, to show what that alarm looks like. When I put something on this truck that's not meant to be here, what's the interaction the fork truck driver's getting? First I'm gonna show you though is when I put this box right here, I'm at the edge of the dock plate. This is attempting to read, and we're not reading that tag, right? As I transition in, we're still not reading that tag. As we make that full transition into the zone, we get that tag read, and the driver gets his alarm. So this alarm is telling him, hey, you put something on the truck that's not meant to be there. I confirm that alarm, shuts that off, and now I look and go, okay, I have it says a case label because it's the demo. This isn't expected on the truck. I can go in here, and I can remove that. If I can hit the button. right? And now that's no longer an issue, right? And I can go and I can place this back in my staging lane, and I can load it in the proper vehicle, truck. All right, so now we're going to show you a demo of a pallet being loaded on the truck. The door, once the door opens, the light will turn green. It'll be ready to read. And again, the important side of this is the control, right? If I have a solution, if I'm at a customer, and if I'm reading tags out here, it's very difficult for me to control the solution, right? There's going to be forked truck traffic here. There's going to be people going in and out of these doors. For us to have a successful solution for a customer, we require that we need to not read anything until it goes onto the dock plate, right? And as you can see, I don't know if you can see it from your angle right now, we still haven't read any tags. As we transition closer, so we're still not reading any of the inventory on this pallet. And then right there we're getting our first reads. And then all 21 pieces, all 21 boxes are shown here now. So then if I finish this shipment, so this is just a shipment where I'm not managing the contents. I'm just saying here, load this pallet, load this truck until it's full and let me know what I loaded. When I complete that now, you'll see on this screen here, I can select the destination it's headed to. I have the truck number, I have the route number, and I can submit that up, and that's that shipment, and it's complete.
So there you have it. This has been another RFID industry interview, this time featuring Smart Label Solutions, SLS. I want to thank them for hosting me here today, and a special thanks to Matt Smith for participating in the interview today. So make sure you check out their website and all the things that they do on a regular basis on their website. I will link the SLS website so you can look into what they have to offer, all of their products and everything. But as always, make sure you leave some comments below on what other RFID topics you want made simple.